What's up? Welcome back to Opposites Attract podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, and I'm sitting here next to
Miguel Ramirez.
Good morning. It's an early Saturday morning. Okay, and I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not a morning person, but
You're not a morning person.
It's freaking early. No, well, I don't wake up angry. It's just
You just dropped an F-bomb, and you're saying you're not angry.
No, I didn't.
Run it back.
I did not.
Run it back.
I did not. I said frickin', I think. Anyways, it's early, and I'm trying to get myself together here. So, anyways.
So instead of liquor, we have coffee this time.
Right. And I asked him if we had Bailey's, but and we do have it. But I'm like, it's a little early.
We can get this party started.
Right? Mom will be here at 11. So, hey, by the time she walks through that door, we'll be like, hey, Mom.
We'll be ready to go to Mexico.
Yeah. I am so ready for this vacation.
Yeah.
And people probably like, didn't you just come back from Vegas?
That wasn't a vacation.
That was not a vacation. Okay. That was a business trip. And that's what it was. I mean, even though we had fun, with each other, because I enjoy the people that I work with, but we had some incredible training. And it was a lot to think about exactly what it is that I want to do now in the business. So there was a lot of mind shift happening there, and then coming back and having the rental property and I felt bad for you because I left you having to, even though I set up the cleaners, but you were there like nonstop. And so our rental property is about 50 minutes away from our house, and the kids don't like going over there.
Well, they have nothing to do either because the house is empty and dirty.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of sitting in a room with their tablet.
Yeah.
But before we get any further, I wanted to mention a couple things because we always mention it right at the end of the podcast, and maybe some people don't make it to the end. I don't know why you wouldn't, but for those of you that are just listening, the podcast is also available on YouTube. So if you search Opposites Attract Podcast on YouTube, you'll find us, and then you can watch the episode. And I'm also working on making some clips of the episodes that we can put up so you can watch little pieces. Also, I've been working on the website for our podcast. I spent all day yesterday messing with that thing. And right now it's a free website, but it looks really good. And you can send us messages from that website for the podcast. If you go down to the bottom of the website, and you can click the links at the top or on the side, and you can subscribe. You can follow our Facebook pages, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
One click of a button will take you to any social media platform that Twitter, you're using.
All that stuff.
So,
and
super cool.
oppositesattractpod.com. That doesn't take you to Facebook anymore. Now it's our website.
Okay, very cool. So, share it again.
oppositesattractpod.com.
Okay, very cool.
All right. So, yeah, you went to Vegas, but Vegas, when you go to Vegas like that, it's not a getaway. Because you guys are talking about so much stuff and thinking about your business and what's happening.
Yeah.
Like your mind is just running the whole time you're there.
So we're up early, and then we go to bed late, and then it starts all over again. So anyways, what I was saying was, we've been having a lot going on this weekend. And I know we always say that, but no, it's been stressful because, things happen in our lives things that we unexpect. And a lot of times it can throw us off our schedule, just throw us off mentally. Next thing you know, you're pulling out your hair, you're kicking the dog.
Yeah.
And that's something we didn't expect, the thing to happen with our renter. And so it threw a lot more responsibility on us. And then me leaving on vacation, you working the way, just nonstop.
At the same time, don't feel bad.
We're blessed.
Because
we have
a rental property.
Yes.
And that's just part. It just came at a bad time. But it's part of being a landlord.
But that's what happens with people in their lives.
That's usually what happens.
Yes.
It's like when shit is going down,
it goes down.
More shit happens.
Right. Yes.
And then you just got to take care of it.
And so a lot of people, they don't move forward in life because their excuse is, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to go back to school. I'm going to wait to start that business. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. And they use life as an excuse, and therefore they never fulfill what it is that they want to do, like they really want to do in life because they're going through life, if that makes any kind of sense.
You know what? That we haven't mentioned him in a while, but Jocko in his books, he talks about like when you're being overwhelmed.
Yes.
And this is something that we had to do when you came back from Vegas. And what he says is that when things are going crazy, when the shit hits the fan, you stop, you look around, and then you start to prioritize and execute.
Right.
Like you can't just sit there and think. I mean, you take a second to think, but it's a quick second.
Right.
Like what's important, you start prioritizing everything and execute.
Right.
And then before you know it, it's all done.
Yeah. So that's something that I've had a challenge with. But when it came to this, I knew like this rental property, we had to get it up and running, fixed, and rented. You know?
Because that's just it's business.
Yeah.
We got to get somebody back in there.
And we had to update our lease. I mean, there was just
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
A bunch of craziness, you know. Oh, and we have our daughter in town.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So
my oldest daughter, Michaela, just came to visit us. What was it, like 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
So yeah, she's going to be here for 3 weeks, and then my mom gets here today, and then tomorrow we leave for Mexico.
Yeah,
and the
that's
next
our vacation.
podcast,
like totally, we're just
chilling for 5
eating
days.
Tacos. I don't like margaritas, but I'll drink them over there.
Yeah,
you know, chill, just totally chill.
So the next podcast that we record will be from Mexico.
Yes. So we're gonna take
that'll
you
be
guys
exciting. And my mom will be our first guest.
Yes. So we're gonna find out all the dirty.
Yeah. So our podcast is going international. I guess you could say we're going to Mexico, but it also went international a few weeks ago. I was looking at the stats for the podcast, and we got a couple downloads in Europe.
Nice.
I don't know if it's some of my family in Spain. I don't think so because it said UK. And that might be Chris, my friend Chris in the military. If you guys are listening.
Awesome.
One of my best friends, best man at our wedding. And also in South America. I have family in South America, and I have a friend that went down there, and I saw that we had some downloads from South America. So that's kind of exciting. And the map in the US is also lighting up. Like places that I was like, who do we know there? I don't know. Maybe people are sharing.
So I don't know.
Exciting.
He deals with all the backing.
All the technical stuff.
Like when he's talking about, I'm like, oh, we have a map? We are on the map. What map?
Yeah.
You know, I just come and I show up. I mean, but it's more than just showing up. I got to get my mind right. But what I've noticed is I could have
a
shitty day. Or not just, I can have a shitty day. Or like this morning, he saw me, and you're always, he's always nicer to me when we're doing a podcast right before. You're like, hey, baby, you want me to make you some coffee, baby? You feeling okay, baby? Because he knows that I have to have my mind right. But I told him it doesn't matter. Because as soon as the camera, and this is weird, but I'm able to get in my zone, even though like it took me a little bit this morning, but I'm able to get into the zone because I want to give you guys raw material, you know? And so I don't want to pretend like everything's okay. If nothing's okay, you're going to hear it if something's going on.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I was sharing with you guys that it's been pretty rough these days. So, you know, if you're going through a hard situation in life, it's okay. It really is. It's okay. Just get your shit together, get aligned, and meditate. Like seriously, get yourself together. I've been talking to Miguel about meditating because his mind is constantly going. It's constantly going. And that was me before, you know, with the businesses, just everything. And I've learned that if I continue to run myself like that, I'm going to run myself wild, like just out of it. So I take time. And so was it yesterday, babe?
What's that? What?
After, you know, we released some stress, right? You know what I'm talking about, ladies? Yeah. So after we released some stress, I want to kumbaya with my husband, okay? So I'm laying on the bed.
Like, what the? You want to do what?
And I grabbed his hand, and I'm just laying on my back, and I'm like, baby, let's meditate. Like, I'm just like this, baby. Yeah, baby, let's just meditate. Let's just sit here. Because
I'm like pulling their hand. I'm like, I need to go do something.
But it's because I could feel your energy. Like, I'm very intuitive. Some people call me an empath, but I feel people's energy. Yeah. And so your energy's been like just nonstop. Like I always ask you, what are you thinking about? And it's always jujitsu or the podcast. And that's awesome. But there's times where you just have to turn it off, you know, like just shut it off, turn it off. So, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll get him some gummies and he can learn.
I cannot do that.
Oh,
I can't do that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's edit that.
Come here, Joe.
This is how you know it's early.
That's my son imitating my wife when she starts the podcast. What's up? What's up? What's up?
But I say it with more.
You do.
Like I'm.
It's just funny how he likes
how he mimics me.
Yeah.
And likes to make fun of his mama.
I'm telling you, that boy, he loves to make people laugh. He's gonna. When he finds his sense of humor, I mean, he's getting it a little bit, but when he really finds it, I mean, that's something he can work on.
Yeah. Can you tell what it's going to be?
Sarcastic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be for like a specific crowd. I think he may be known as a jerk.
Yeah. You know who it kind of his personality a little bit? He might be like a Bill Burr type.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Either you're going to love him or you're going to hate him.
I think most people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean,
some people, but it's not for the sensitive.
Yeah. No, Bill Burr.
We've seen him a few times. We've seen him like, what, 3 times?
Let's talk about what we were talking, because this goes exactly in where we were talking about people being too soft. You know, like it's funny. And you know what? You're thinking it. You just don't have the balls to say it. You know? So, yeah, that's the type of comedian he is. But he is hilarious. He says some vulgar things, but they're real things that we are all thinking. We just don't have the courage to say it.
Like he'll say things about rednecks. He says things about women. He said all kinds of stuff. But it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny, but most people, wouldn't dare say any of that kind of stuff. So on that subject, I told you that we were at work, right? Mm-hmm. And we were just hanging out. Well, not just hanging out. Yeah. For anybody for all the managers from my job that are listening to this, we were not just hanging out. We were working very hard. And no, it was like break time. We're all just kind of hanging around my cubicle. Yeah. And I was like, let me look up a joke. And keep in mind that I work with a lot of mechanics, not only mechanics, but over 70% are prior military. Yeah. And usually people that have been in the military, they have a messed up sense of humor. Right. You know? Mm-hmm. But it is funny. So I found this joke online. And while I was reading it, I was laughing. So I stopped. I read it to the guy. So the joke is...
Hold on. We need to do a disclaimer first. Whatever. You're just going to get into the joke like for real?
But then we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
So what's up? This is the thing. So,
if you're sensitive, just pause.
This is not for you.
If you get offensive...
Whatever.
For some things, just pause. On. Yeah, move on. Skip like 30 seconds. Okay?
Whatever.
Okay. So that's my disclaimer.
All right. You're done.
Okay.
So a mom and her 3 daughters are walking home from wherever, right?
Okay.
And the daughters are Rosie, Lily, and Cinderblock.
It's already funny.
So Rose tells her mom, "Mommy, why did you name me Rose?" And the mom said, "Well, when we were bringing you home from the hospital, a rose petal fell on your head. So we named you Rose." And then Lily said to her mom, "Mom, why did you name me after a flower?" And she said, "Well, when we were leaving the hospital, a lily fell on your head. And that's why we named you Lily." Mm-hmm. And then Cinderblock said,
So when he told me that...
So I tell her this joke.
I wasn't sure how to feel. Like, it was funny, but I'm like, that's so not right. Like...
So, no, wait. So I told you, we went out to eat, right? We're at Chipotle. Uh-huh. Nobody's listening, by the way. I'm not saying this like super loud. No. It's just us. And even though there's like a line of people next to us waiting to order, but they weren't paying attention. No. So I tell you the joke, but you're like trying... You want to laugh.
Well, I just said I thought it was funny, but I'm like, oh my God, that's so wrong.
That's so jacked up, right? Yeah.
And then he says he's going to share it on the podcast. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, you're not.
But then we kind of got into it.
Yeah.
And not into it like fighting.
Yeah.
But we got into like the culture today.
Yes.
Like people are so easily offended. Like I tell this joke, but it's not like I enjoy kids getting smashed in the heads by cinder blocks.
Right.
Like it's just a joke. It's funny.
Yeah, but every parent or, someone who has someone in their life that has, that's mentally, disabled will take offense to that. It's not about so much the cinder block, my love.
I get it. You know what? But usually, more often than not, it's somebody else getting offended, not the actual people that you're talking about. They're not the ones getting offended usually. It's somebody else getting offended for them. So if it doesn't bother that person, then what do you care?
Yeah.
And there are words. It's a joke.
Yeah.
People hold, like, if you tell a joke, you should understand that it's coming from a different place.
Yeah.
And it taps into, just something. Like people, we were watching this comedian, Andrew Scholes, right? And I'll post a link to the video that we watched in the podcast group. But he was talking about this exact thing. Like he says some jokes that are, pretty extreme, and they're super funny. But he said a lot of people won't say these jokes, but it hits you right in your gut. He's like, internally, that it's funny. You just don't have the balls to say it. Yeah. But in his show, he had a lady that was having a seizure.
Oh,
and she had a seizure.
That's right.
At his show.
Right.
And he starts he was cracking joke, like she was fine. He went over to her, made sure that she was okay.
Right.
And he talked to her, they helped her up, and she was good.
Yeah.
The paramedics were helping her up. He starts roasting the paramedics, and this shit was hilarious. And then she walks out of the room and he's just roasting. He starts making jokes about her and the seizure or whatever. He's like, man, I'm funny. He's like, in comedy, when you're doing really well, it's called killing. Like when you kill, it means like you killed the crowd. Okay. And he was like, this is killing. It's something else. And then some lady jumps up. That's not funny.
Right.
She's not
offended.
Funny.
She gets offended.
And she's offended. And she has this bad attitude about the whole thing. And he's like, listen, they're jokes. Like, relax. And I don't know. He didn't say it like that. Like, he came back at her. Yeah. And then she freaking ran herself over with a bus by throwing out, I'm a paramedic. Right. And what did he say? Then why didn't you help? Right. Everybody is so offended, so sensitive, but they don't do shit about it. They just get offended. Yeah.
And they're talking about today on how we are raising our children.
That was his TED Talk.
Yeah. That's right. Because I'm like, where did I get this from? That's what it was. How we're raising our children to be so sensitive, to certain things. Like, yeah, it's okay, express your feelings, but we're protecting them. If they come home, what was he saying? If your kid comes home and says, Mom, my teacher don't like me. Most parents would remove that child from that classroom.
Yeah. Well, not most parents, but that's a more common thing today.
Yeah, more common.
Back in the day, it was like the teacher doesn't like me, and your parents would say, well, get over it. Right. There's a lot of people in life that are not going to like you. And I hear it with Audrey all the time. Yeah. She'll tell me, oh, so-and-so doesn't like me. Who gives a shit? Yeah. It doesn't matter.
But back then, too, like the parents and the teachers were on the same side. They were on the same side. Yes. And today, that's not the way it is.
Oh, yeah. I thought my dad and my teachers were like plotting against me. Yeah. He would freaking make me take them notes and shit to get myself in trouble. I'm like, what the fuck? We
did that with the kids. Remember the notebook?
But nowadays, it's not like that. No. It's like you have trouble with the teacher, and it's like, let's get this teacher fired. Right. Let's see what is wrong with this teacher.
Right. Right. So how do you feel that's affecting?
The thing is that in your life, or when they grow up, they're going to have these people in there. There may be a manager or a boss that actually doesn't like them. And you have to learn how to deal with that. Right. And that's part of growing up.
Right. Like with our kids, I started at first, they would come, and this is still something that we have to break them from, because this is something that we've always helped them to resolve. But when they're having a difference, when they're arguing or fighting and they come and they tattletale, mommy, so-and-so did this to me. And then we would go reprimand versus saying, listen, having them sort it out themselves, figuring out, because that's what life is about. You're going to, when you get older, you're going to have conflicts with people. If you continue to run from conflict or have someone else come in to resolve that, how are you ever going to, learn
it's
to
true.
resolve conflict?
Yep.
So anyways, stop raising your children to be sissies. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, no, they just got to get tougher, it feels like. I don't know if that's every generation, because I think the previous generation always kind of feels like the next generation isn't taking care of business or doing what they should or whatever. I don't know. But it seems like it's more now.
Yeah. I think that we're just old-fashioned. Like the way we tend to raise the kids. We're a little old-fashioned in a lot of ways, like how we think.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. There's a lot of... But we also kind of think it's not all old-fashioned.
No.
Because we also... we're open to a lot of stuff. Yeah. And we're not blind to what's happening out there.
Right.
But,
but I'm
also...
building them to be, like, independent, like, strong-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need that. But also, don't get us wrong. Like, there's a lot of millennials that they get busy. Yeah. They get work done. They're motivated. Mm-hmm. They work hard. Mm-hmm. I don't know any, but I'm just kidding.
So I do.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
So remember back in the day, we were talking about how is it that when we were growing up, we didn't hear about bullying. Like, we didn't hear about
kidnappings.
Certain things that are happening in the world. Yeah. Like, we just didn't. And we're like, it wasn't that way when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to a friend, and I don't know how this conversation came up, but what she said is, back in our days, we didn't have social media. We didn't have, like, the internet, like the way it is today. Like, you get the
Something
news.
Something happens and you get it right away.
Immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And everyone today is a news reporter, right?
For real.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw your one of your real estate friends on Facebook posting about an ICE raid that's happening in Phoenix. So that's like a perfect example. She's not like Channel 5. Oh. She's a real estate agent.
We need to start getting paid for our posts.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. And the MapQuest. Do you see, like, if there's a situation, this is something, but if you see a situation happening on the freeway, it asks you a question. Like, you can actually report stuff.
Oh, yeah. Cops, speed traps, accidents.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
So I'm sure everything that's going on today was going on back then. We just were not aware of it.
You also hear that the times today are way safer than ever before. It just doesn't seem that way.
Totally not. Because when you were little, like you said, like, I wouldn't let my daughter walk to school. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't allow her to walk to school.
Right now, today, from this neighborhood. Now. Yeah.
Well, and we live in a good neighborhood.
Why wouldn't you let her walk to school? Because she might get kidnapped?
Where we're at.
Or she might maybe get hit by a car?
Yes. Like, yeah. But you, when you were little, how old were you?
I was already walking. She's in 4th grade?
Yeah.
Going into 5th grade?
Yeah.
She going into 5th grade? Holy shit.
I know. Don't start, because then I'm going to start bawling.
She's going to start crying. But, no, hell yeah. By 5th grade, I was walking to school.
But baby,
for like
how old were you when
4 years.
You started? Exactly.
Yeah, like
kindergarten.
Kindergarten. In 1st grade, something like that.
New York. Flushing.
Yeah. And my school was like a mile away.
Yeah. And he would get up and walk. Me, I remember walking to my school, and I don't know, I can't tell you how, I know it was a distance. But my mom...
How was your neighborhood? Was it like this?
We were living in the projects. It was not like this.
And you used to walk by yourself.
I used to walk.
Exactly.
So how is it that it's safer
but
today.
most of the parents in this neighborhood would not dare let
No.
because they're like, oh, they're going to get kidnapped by Chester the molester down the street.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
they're going to, something's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, we do, like, most parents wouldn't even let their child walk around, the next block here. They'll walk with them, right? But with us, we're we're a little more lenient with that,
That was part of that other video that I was showing you. It was like 5 or 7 ways that your parents might have messed you up.
Oh yeah, share that.
Yeah, I'll share that video too. There's a couple of videos that we watched that were really good this week.
We're all grading ourselves. Let's see how jacked
that's really
up.
good.
Let's see how much we're messing up our kids.
We're all messed up. Now I think we're doing okay. We'll see.
Yeah,
the only way you can tell is when they get older.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was part of that video, is like the helicopter parent that's just always around. They can't leave them alone for 1 second. It's like, you know what? The park's across the street.
Yeah.
I used to go to a park that was like around the corner and down the street, like far.
Yeah.
Go play with my friends by myself. I would leave the house in the morning, wake up my dad. Hey, Pa, can I go pick up my friends? Yeah. When do you want me back? Just come back, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But I was leaving at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving from 10 to like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
to go play, and it was a blast. I would go play with my friends and just hang out all day. No clue, what was going on. I mean, he knew where I was. Now the thing is, one thing that we tell our kids too. I said you can go to the park.
Right.
That means you're at the park. If for some reason I go out of this house and I want to go to the park and see where you're at, you better be at that park.
Right.
Not over at your friend's house. You want to go to your friend's house, you need to come back and tell me. And that was the same thing with my dad back in the day.
Yeah. That's something we had to work on with Audrey, because that little girl's just a social butterfly.
I think that's just, she'd be like, oh, who are you? And she takes off.
Can I go home with you?
Is that candy? Oh, what kind of candy is that?
I like your dog. Can I go in your car and pet it?
Oh, the dog's in the van? Okay.
Can you give me a ride home? Just kidding.
God.
She's smarter than that.
Yeah. What do you need help with? Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, but they say it's more safe today than ever before. But I think you're right. Like there's just so much access to all the information, everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem that way. And one of the other videos that we were watching was it was about cognitive dissonance, or cognitive bias is what the video was called.
Spell that for me.
Yeah. And what the video was talking about was the reason that we think the way we think. Mm-hmm. And it had like, I don't know, 5 or 7 different reasons. And one of them is like, usually the first information that we get is what we perceive to be true. Like you get a certain thing, like somebody tells you a certain fact, and and now in your head that fact is true. And it's going to be hard to disprove. It's like your initial bias or whatever. And you know what? I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about it's pretty good though. He was saying that when somebody tells him something like that, what he kind of does is he types in debunked. Or like if somebody says, that there's aliens or whatever, and he'll put aliens debunked. Like he wants to immediately see the opposite and see if there's any credible sources for the opposition. Just to kind of make sure that he's not just like falling into stuff and following things blindly.
Okay.
Remember they gave the example of, what was it? They did the tree. It was like, so the average tree, would you say that it's over or under 1,200 feet? Or how tall do you think the highest tree is? Yeah, the tallest tree, how tall do you think it is? Do you think it's over or under 1,200 feet? You see, I put 1,200 feet in your head.
Right.
You would have gave me a totally different answer if I didn't tell you 1,200 feet. Like there's ways that you can get made to think certain things.
Okay.
And the other one that they were talking about was social media. We talked about it the other day, like turning it off. Like if you were to turn everything off, your world isn't as crazy as social media makes it seem. Right. Everybody's not as racist. Everybody's not as left or right leaning or whatever as social media makes it seem. Yeah. If you were to just go out and talk to your neighbors or go hang out with your friends. And what they were saying was, you remember they were saying about the terrorist attacks? Like,
Oh, I was just going to write something down about that. I mean, the terrorist attacks, the natural disasters that happen, like we come together as a nation.
yeah. But what they were saying was, like, everybody's so afraid of a terrorist attack. Like, I'm going to get killed in a terrorist
that's
attack.
for sure. Okay.
You know, but chances are you're more likely to be killed so many other ways than a terrorist attack.
Like a car accident.
You're almost more likely to get struck by lightning and die than be killed by a terrorist.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
it's just the way your mind kind of subconsciously gets programmed. I'll post that video. It's really interesting. But you were saying,
You know, kind of like they're making it seem like everybody's against everybody, the racism, everything else. But if a natural disaster happens or something happens, we come together as a nation to help, to support, to
Yep.
do what we have to do, you know.
so there was I think it was Ronald Reagan, the president. People, like, he gave this speech, kind of like at that time, I think we were having trouble with Russia. Excuse me, because I don't know the history very well, and I may not be quoting it right. But there was a president that was giving a speech, and he was like, look, if we got invaded by aliens, all this other shit would not matter. Pretty much is what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know, so like if we had another 9/11 or so, like all these issues that we're having in the country,
Yeah.
they would disappear. Like
Yeah.
everybody's focus would shift, you know? So, or yeah, like a big natural disaster or something like that happening.
Good stuff.
Yep. So,
when we were out there cleaning the house, my children absolutely adore my sister Lorraine.
oh yeah.
And so, you know, it's been some time where they've been apart and they haven't really spent that much time with her. So
Well, like
when
you
we
said,
were there,
we're 50 minutes away. So
right.
yeah, we don't get out there as much as we did.
So it was super cool to see her interacting with them and the kids laying there with her and seeing, you know, the love that they have for her and the love that she has for them. And this is on a totally separate subject.
We're not talking about terrorists anymore?
We're talking about love.
Okay.
So I was listening to Oprah and she was interviewing someone and she was mentioning that today, a lot of us, we always say, we don't have enough time. There's not enough time.
Yeah.
Mommy, Daddy, can you play with me?
Huh?
I'm busy, baby. I'm busy. You know?
Yeah. There's time for the important things.
Right. And
You can make time.
Well, it's prioritizing, like,
Yeah.
what is most important to you? And the gentleman, I can't remember his name, that she was interviewing, mentioned to Oprah, like, all we have is time. All we have is time for the things that are important to us.
Yeah.
Because that moment that you miss looking into your child's eyes while playing with them, or looking into your loved one's eyes when you're talking,
Yeah.
or sitting under a tree and just taking in what's around you.
Yeah.
You know, the smell of a rose. And so when they were talking about of a rose. Yes.
And Lily.
A lily, not a,
And Cinder Block.
yeah. Anyways, so when they were talking about this, I remember being at my sister's and I was just sitting there watching, paying attention to laughs and to the conversation.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like I wasn't even in the room because I was just so into that. And it made me feel so good to see my sister, because I have one sister that's in heaven that's never got to meet my children. And I shouldn't even talk about that because now I'm getting sentimental here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, no, I know exactly what you mean. Because we do the same thing at work. Like, we'll sit at our desk and we watch people. And then we're like, what the fuck is he doing?
That is so different. You're
That guy
breaking up
is
my
so
connection.
weird. And then we make fun of him from afar.
You're so
We just
dumb.
watch and make fun.
Anyways, okay. I had
Are
to
you
get
back?
myself back together. But, you know, just being able to witness that love and knowing that, you know, I have this sister here that absolutely loves them and one that hasn't, you know, wasn't here to build that relationship with them, but just being present and being in the moment is something that we all need to focus more on, because life will keep us so busy. And the most important thing, like at the end, like I always talk about being present and being here and slowing down, because you never know what tomorrow brings. Like all we have is today. All we have is this moment.
Yeah.
And so my message to you guys, again, and you'll always hear me bring you back, is to focus on what's most important to you, and also knowing what's most important to you.
Yeah.
Because life is too short, and it's a beautiful journey, and there's so many things that you can witness.
Yeah, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I do it all the time. Like you get really busy, you're focused on something, and then you don't see other things that are happening.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, you got to be present.
Yeah. So another thing that I was talking about, and this all has to come, it'll all come together, but I have a friend of mine, a business partner and a friend of mine, who we lost to cancer yesterday. And during my business trip, I found out that my really good friend lost a girlfriend to cancer. And that's why he hasn't, been present at the meetings, because he helped her. He was there with her every step of the way. And the most important thing, I always put myself on my deathbed, like, what matters? Like, really, out of all of this that's going on in my life, what truly matters? And to help you get centered, just ask yourself, if I was on my deathbed, what are the things that I would regret? And that's how you're going to find out, like, what's most important to you. But this whole cancer stuff has me on just being more alert, because I am so ignorant when it comes to the things that cause cancer, like the deodorant, the underwire, and Tanisha, a good friend of mine, it hit her as well. Her good friend got it, so there's just so much going on.
Everybody. And everybody that's listening to this has had somebody that they know, that they love, affected by that.
Yes. So I want to bring some kind of, awareness, or just learn more about it. Like I asked your godmother when she comes, because, she fought cancer, and, she beat it. And so I want to know, because the doctors will tell you. I don't know if you ever beat it.
Is it?
Yeah, it can always.
I think people say, like, you don't beat it, but she's,
right.
It's in remission.
See, again, yes. I have to learn more so that I can also help others know more about it, to do the things that we can control, like the aluminum in our deodorant and our lymph nodes and just all of that.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, you're talking about this, and one thing that it just made me think about is, like, how would you want to be remembered? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, when you pass, how do you want to be remembered? And, like, a few months back, we went to a service for a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was 2 months and he was gone. Yeah. And he had a brain tumor. But now that I think about this, like, how would you want to be remembered? I mean, everybody that you talk to, like, you heard it there. Everybody was like, he brightened up the room. Yeah. He was always joking, always laughing. The world was shit, but he was happy. Yeah. He made everybody else happy.
Right. He made it a better place.
Yeah.
He made better life thing. Yeah. He touched, just hearing everybody. I didn't personally know him.
You never met him. No.
But being there with you to support you, it hit me. Like, anyways, life is too short. So take a pause.
Wipe your eyes.
Like, seriously, take a pause, because we go from, think about this. We go from breakup, say a relationship, one to another.
Yeah.
Think about that. One relation to another, one bed to another bed, one career. It's just, you have to take a pause. The only way to break a cycle is to learn the mistake, to learn the lesson. But because we're so busy, we never learn the lesson. So therefore,
just moving on to the next thing.
Like a good friend, I don't understand. She's like, this is the type of man that I'm attracting. She's like, but this is not what I want. But that's what she's attracting. So what is it? What can you learn? Like, take a moment, take a pause. What did you learn from that? What did you learn? What are some things? Yeah.
Or something from a childhood that you don't even know that you have to work out still.
Yes.
That was part of that video. That video was talking about the way you jack up your kids.
Yes.
The video was talking about, if you act this way, your parents may have done this, and you might want to talk to a therapist. And you may not even understand that that's why I act that way. Right.
And so therapy, I don't feel that it's a bad thing. I know our nationality, they're like, what? What do you mean you're going to therapy? Almost like it's not real.
Yeah. You know what? This is something that I heard on a different podcast. Adam Carolla was talking about this, and he was saying the president, if there was a presidential candidate that said that he goes to therapy twice a week, is that something that people would be attracted to, or would they be like, there's something wrong with that guy?
Right.
We don't want him.
Right.
But he's the one that's working on it.
Right.
Or she, whatever. Right. They're working on it.
Yes.
So why is there a stigma towards, therapy? Like, you're trying to get better.
Right.
And everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Right. And so this is something we were talking about off camera. We do talk a lot. I believe in God, and I pray all the time. But there's some things that we need help that we're going through that a therapist can help you through. Like
the prayers may not do it.
You need a deeper, and that's just my opinion. But the whole situation that I had with my dad, I didn't think my dad not being in my life at a young age, because they separated. I didn't feel like that had any hold on me in my relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned out that there were some seeds that needed to be uprooted. Yeah. Roots that needed to be uprooted when that whole situation happened with my dad. And if you want to know about it, listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Because I talked about it. But anyways.
So therapy,
it's good.
Yeah.
So
last week we were talking about When They See Us?
Yes.
Another video that we watched. Now, like I said, when it comes to politics, I do care what's happening, but I don't care what side you're on.
Yeah. And I think we're independent.
Yeah. We're into stuff that makes sense. Yeah. And you know what? If we think one thing and you have good evidence for the opposite side, hey,
we're open to listen.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing for all you Trump fans out there, I don't consider myself a fan of Trump, but I don't hate the guy. Yeah. You know why? People are like, oh, Trump is the best. And I'm like, I'm not going to say he's the best. And people are like, he's the worst. I was like, I'm not going to say that either. Right. Because you know what? I don't know. I don't follow politics closely enough to be like, oh, fuck that guy.
Right.
And the other thing is that I also don't trust the media.
Exactly. I was just writing that. Real news, fake news.
There's certain things that he says, though, that the way he acts that you see, that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
And we were talking about that show When They See Us. And in that show, he had taken out ads to, he said, let's bring the death penalty back to New York. And I don't know if that's part of the show, because I know the person that created the show leans to the left, very democratic, whatever. And but they did ask him here recently. They're like, do you regret what you said about the show? Do you regret taking out those ads now that, this show is a big thing and it kind of paints you in a bad light? And he just kind of said, no. He's like, the prosecution has done their investigation. He was kind of sticking to his guns that these 5 kids, were probably still guilty. And this is kind of what we were talking about in politics, or in like people are just not allowed to change their mind.
Right.
He's still sticking to his guns from something that happened 30 years ago.
Right.
When everything shows that, somebody else confessed. The DNA matched. They weren't there. Right. It wasn't these kids.
Right.
But you know what? The prosecution did their job, I feel, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the... For real? I would have a lot more respect. Be like, you know what? I made a mistake.
Right.
I fell into the trap of the meat. Like, they painted these guys out. The police were, making them say things, and I made a mistake. And it was a pretty bad mistake, calling for the death penalty on 14, 15, and 16-year-olds.
Yes.
So that I don't really like. Right. But at the same time, I've heard from people that I know that there are some things that he's doing for the country that are really good. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure there's also things that are not so good, just like Obama. Like, people fall in love with this guy, and like everything that he did, was perfect, and he did no wrong. He was one of the best presidents. I'm like, look, I don't know. But as soon as you start telling me that Trump is the greatest ever and he can do no wrong, I can't listen to you anymore.
Right.
Or that Obama is the greatest, I can't listen to you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm sure Obama did some good things.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did some shitty things.
Right.
Same thing goes for everybody else.
Yep. We're all human. We're all human. We all,
Yeah.
There's no such thing as perfection.
Yeah. And admitting when you were wrong, when you made a mistake.
Right.
Politicians just can't do that.
Yeah.
Because it makes them seem weak. Oh, they changed their mind on gay marriage, on marijuana, on abortion, on all this stuff.
But that's stuff that all has to be worked on within. I mean, because think about it. Even in a relationship, how hard is it to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something we had to work on.
We still work on it. Yeah.
Because in my eyes, you're always wrong.
Yeah. No, I know. So yeah, when we were working on the house, when we finally wrapped up everything, I think we took a minute to go take the kids out, and we went to the movies. We saw Toy Story 4.
Oh, it was so cute.
If you guys haven't seen it,
so funny.
It's a good movie. It's really good. And I don't know if I told you, but I was kind of thinking, I don't know if there's another movie series that has 4 movies and they're all really good. Because Toy Story has like a really good rating.
He said that and I'm like, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger. But man, like the way these movies have progressed, like I told you, when Toy Story 4 started, like I'm looking at the animation and I'm like, is this movie going to be like half real and half cartoon, or like what the hell? Because the backyard, the grass, the house, I'm like, what? Like the original Toy Story didn't look like that, but it's just crazy to see how, the technology, the computer graphics is getting.
Well, if
insane.
You want to see how different, just go watch Grease. I love that movie. That's one of my favorite old movies, Grease. Like, go back and watch, oh my God, Scarface. That's his favorite movie. Mine is Grease.
Yeah.
And his is Scarface. Actually,
yours
I like
is
Ghost
Titanic.
too. Oh, yeah.
That's how I hooked you.
Dude, get out of here.
So our first date.
Oh, yeah. Are we going there?
She told me that Titanic was her favorite movie.
Yes.
And I was broke. So I went.
And I didn't know that, obviously, because he wouldn't be coming to my front door at that time being broke.
Gold digger.
No, honey. I just knew what
kidding.
I wanted.
No. If she was, she would have kicked me right back the fuck out when she found out I had no money.
I'm like, what?
So yeah. So when I came over, you told me that Titanic was your favorite movie. And I remember I stopped at Kmart and Titanic was on sale. It was like $5. It's like one of those, it's one of those.
Hold up, time out. He's never shared that with me. Not that it
what
matters
does it matter?
Because it was the thought.
Yeah.
But
oh, look at you backtracking. You're backpedaling right now.
$5? Like for real? I thought at least you spent like $25. What did you go get the tissues at the 99 cent store?
Because it means more if it was 20.
So he came.
It was your favorite movie, wasn't it?
I'm just teasing.
Oh damn! Look at you now. But anyway, yeah. So
spent $5 on our first date.
The DVD was so cheap. It was one of those movies that. It doesn't even have the stuff on the inside.
I still
it just
have
has the jacket on the outside.
Because I still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I bought a box of tissues.
Which he probably bought at the 99 cents.
I bought it at Kmart. It was on sale too because the package was ripped.
Oh my
I'm
God.
Just kidding. But anyway, that was our
so funny.
Our first date.
Yeah. That was hilarious. And I don't even think we watched the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking.
Yeah.
Like, we had good conversation even at the beginning. Yeah.
Yep. So you were you were watching something on Oprah, or you were listening to something about making excuses. This is something you were talking about the other day. Like when you don't want to do something, making excuses. What were you listening to? Do you remember what that was?
Oh my goodness. I'm on a roll with Oprah. I'm like a crackhead when it comes to listening to her different episodes, because if you are very spiritual, it's Super Soul Conversation.
That's what you like to listen to.
It's helped me to get more in tune with my spiritual side. And I love it because she has people come on here from, just different religions, different beliefs. A lot of people that had near-death experiences. I mean, it's a super amazing show. Anyways, excuses. I don't know, man. You're putting me on the spot about it. But
do you remember what it was? So what we were talking about like how people make excuses for things. Like they don't want to do something. And instead of just
keep going,
being real and saying what's going on.
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
They'll make an excuse.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about this. Like I think I shared this. And so in our previous podcast, or maybe a Facebook Live, because it will free a lot of us. It will free you from doing things that you really don't want to do. Maybe you may feel obligated because this is a good friend or, but deep down inside, you're making yourself do something that you don't want to do. And that's a sign of betraying yourself. And so she was talking about, and I can't remember who she was interviewing. You're really good at remembering people's names and word for word, like what they're saying. Me, when I try to...
It's because I have notes.
No, love. Even when you don't have notes, you'll be talking to me about a podcast and know all the details about it without your notes.
Well,
me?
Yeah.
I'm just like, somebody from somewhere said that
something.
This.
Somebody from somewhere said something.
Right. So you can't look anything up. But anyways, they were talking about this, and it was someone very famous who back in the day, lived in LA, and she was all over every magazine. That's right. I can't remember her name, but now she's 75. And obviously, things change the older you get. And so she was talking about, that she ran into a lady, and that this lady was saying, "Hey, I would love for you to come to my party." And she was dropping famous names, one after another, after another, after another.
They're talking to her now that she's older.
Right. Oprah is interviewing her. Yes. I don't remember.
No, but they were inviting her to the party.
Yeah.
Now that she's in her later years.
Right.
Okay.
And so she said, before, back in my day, even though if I really didn't want to go, I would go. She's like, but where I'm at today, I didn't want to go. And I told her no. Like, I didn't give her an excuse. Back then, I would have made an excuse like, oh, I have, a family trip, or, oh, I have something scheduled that day.
Or maybe showed up when you didn't want to.
Yes. But
these famous people are there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And we tend to do that all the time. And that is something that I'm working on, and this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting more stingy with my time and who I give my time to. And I know that a lot of us out there that are watching this, you do the same thing. Yeah.
You kind of want to do all kinds of stuff, but you have to be careful what you spend your time doing.
Right.
You got to make sure that it's worth it, that it's going to make a difference, make an impact, because there's other things that you can do.
Right. And that you're enjoying
what you're doing.
The company. I mean, there's going to be some situations where it's a really good friend and she really needs you to be there. That's different. That's different. Because I don't, going to an awake or a funeral, like that was my stomach.
No, I was thinking about something.
It's very difficult. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to be with me.
I'm here.
Right here.
Okay.
Keep it here. All
right.
Okay. So, damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so funerals, shiny. Those are not something that I care to go to. Like, it's just, it's difficult. And who does? Who enjoys it? But that's something that we know that we need to do inside. That is the right thing to do. So there's some exceptions. That's what I'm trying to say. There's some exceptions. But if it's a party and you really don't want to go, and it's not a best friend, and it's not somebody that asks you to go as a favor, then don't do it. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself, you know?
Yeah. There was a couple podcasts ago, we talked about that guy, Naval Ravikant. That's one of the things that he talked about was like, I mean, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do.
Right.
And that's, I think it was desire. I don't know if I have the quote.
I remember what you were talking about. Yeah.
You know, it's a contract that you write with yourself to be miserable or do things that you don't want to do until you get what you want.
And that's different. That's like going to the gym. Like,
for me, especially.
Yeah. You know, like if you don't want to go to the gym, but you know that it's something that you need to do. Maybe you're a diabetic, you're overweight, whatever it is, you know that you need to get some exercise in. And if it's not the gym, then walk around your neighborhood. But you know that exercise is going to help you. So if you dread going to the gym, find something that you like to do, whether it's hiking, whether it's jujitsu. You know, so that you don't...
That's a hell of a workout.
Yeah, you know, so find something where you're still getting the exercise and getting healthy.
Yep. So what you were just talking about, like the making excuses or just saying no, it reminded me of years ago. I had a friend of mine, like there's certain things, little things that just kind of stick in your head and you remember them forever. Mm-hmm. But there was a friend of mine.
Like our first date.
Yeah. There was a friend of mine and I had invited him somewhere. I don't know if it was like, hey, let's go to a bar and get some drinks or let's go, I don't know, do something. Mm-hmm. But we were going to spend money doing it. Mm-hmm. And he straight up told me, he's like, no, not like being a jerk. He was just like, no, I can't do that right now. I don't have the money for it.
Right.
And he was just straight up. And I don't think, like, it kind of stuck out to me because I've never heard anybody say, I don't have the money to do that right now. Right. And it's not because he was broke. But the thing is, I remember, like, he was trying to do something at that time. Yeah. I think he was trying to pay off his cars or he was trying to pay off his credit cards. Like, he was trying to change things. Right. But he was straight up. He was like, I can't do that. I don't have the money for it right now.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I was like, how many times has somebody told you, hey, let's go do this. Let's go to the movies. Let's go to the bar. Let's go go to the go-kart track. And you're like, your bank account, you're broke.
Right.
But you don't want to tell everybody that you're broke. Right. You're just like, oh, you know what? I got another friend that promised we were going to go hang out. Or you tell like a little lie because you didn't want to, just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
That's just something that really kind of stuck out to me. I mean, from years ago.
Yeah. Because he was real and he was honest.
And you know what? There's no shame in that. No. Like, what am I going to, he's doing something.
Right.
And even if not, I don't know. It's just, I think it's a good quality.
So I remember back in the day when we were focused on getting out of debt. Like, we're just like, no more. And it was Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day? Yes. Shit.
You're going to make me look real bad right now.
Anything to make me look better. No. I was playing. Do you remember what you bought me?
Yeah.
What did you buy me?
I bought you a pair of scissors. This is, if you listen to the last podcast, we were talking about how we had a hat business, the cute baby hats.
We had a sweatshop.
I had set up a sweatshop in the house. We were selling these cute baby hats. They were really nice.
And tutu dresses.
But you know what? I don't know if I had been laid off or whatever, like at that time. Yeah. And I was like, shit. We need a pair of scissors. I was like, I'm going to go find the nicest pair of scissors at Walmart. And I'm going to give those to you for like, I don't know if it was like Mother's Day or your birthday or whatever.
But we were paying off debt. And when we made that decision together. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah. Like
we're just not spending money.
Right. And that's what's really cool about us is because when we make a decision together. Yeah. We do it. Except for this past 90 days thing. Because I haven't been, I know, but I haven't been like, because I do keto. I keto. I do keto. Like, I do keto. I won't eat.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Like, you will eat a fry. You'll eat there. But when I make the decision to do it, I do keto. So when I say I'm cheating, like, like I took the kids out to eat at Denny's. I didn't have pancakes and eggs and I had an omelet with steak. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but I still haven't been... To me, I feel like I'm cheating because I'm not doing strictly keto.
Yeah. And for me, the way I see it, when I cheat, when I say I'm not cheating, like, I don't mean that I'm not going to pick at something. You know, like the kids, we took them to In-N-Out yesterday.
Yeah.
And they had a strawberry shake. They had fries. They didn't finish all of it. So I pick at the fries and drink a little bit of the shake.
Yeah.
But what I mean when I'm not going to cheat, it means that I'm not going out and buying a bunch of pizza, a bunch of beer, a bunch of wings, and just having a huge meal.
Right. So let's get this going right now.
So but you know what? Since we mentioned that on the last podcast, I've lost about 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's been going good.
So I don't know how we got on that subject, but now that we're on it, since we have different definitions of cheating, I think we need to resolve this shit right now.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I'm saying?
I think we're going to have to save that for another podcast.
Or out of time.
We're out of time. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. No, we are actually getting down to the end of the podcast.
It is.
So next time you guys hear from us, you got anything else, babe, before we get out of here?
Nope. I'm
we
good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is awesome.
The next podcast that you guys see or listen to will be from Mexico. So we're looking forward to talking to you guys from Mexico.
Yes.
As always, this podcast is brought to you by Trust Inc. That's our website is trustinkusa.com.
Yes. And we are a mobile notary service. We are nationwide, so it doesn't matter what state you live in. We work a lot with attorneys and title escrow officers and individuals as well. We are also independent associates with Legal Shield, and what Legal Shield does is provide you attorneys at the palm of your hand. Matter of fact, they helped us revamp our lease.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helped us with our eviction notice. So if you own some rental properties, give me a call.
Awesome. And also the way the podcast grows is by sharing it. So make sure you share this podcast, like it, subscribe, leave comments, do all that stuff. Also, we have our website that I just created that I was working on all week. All day yesterday, and it looks pretty good. Go check it out. OppositesAttractPod.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can find all that on the website. You can just click the little links, and the podcast is available on all podcast apps, Apple, everything.
There you go.
All right. So thank you guys for being with us.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.